7 bone-chilling horror stories from Kentucky that haunt you alone at midnight. The clock struck midnight in the small town of Waverly, Kentucky, when the ancient, creaking oak outside Old Man Peterson's house let out a groan. It was as if the tree whispered secrets of the dead buried beneath its twisted roots. The air thickened, heavy with anticipation, as the whispers of long-lost souls danced between the restless shadows. Locals said that at this hour, the ghosts roamed free and hungry for tales of horror. Just last week, a teenager claimed she saw a figure lurking in the fog, eyes like hollow voids, watching her until she ran, heart racing, pulse pounding. Was it just her imagination, or something more sinister? But the strangest occurrence was the legend of the Waverly haunting. They said a young woman named Lily vanished without a trace from her own home. The townsfolk swore she could be seen at the window on stormy nights, her ghostly face pressed against the glass, pleading for help. Some claimed if you looked too long, she'd take you with her, pulling you into the depths of her sorrow. Parents warned their children not to go near that old house. Whispers of her name floated like ghosts in the breeze, stirring dread wherever they traveled. Then there was the tale of the Bluegrass River, where fishermen reported strange shadows beneath the water's surface, shadows that twisted and writhed like restless spirits. On an early fall evening, a boat capsized, flinging its occupant into the icy grips of the water. A week later, he emerged on the riverbank, hair white as snow, eyes wide with terror, mumbling incoherently about the dark hands pulling him down. What horrors had he witnessed in those depths? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The stories didn't stop there. Reports of chilling laughter echoed through the graveyard near the old church, where locals claimed they felt fingers brush against their necks while snapping pictures, their cameras capturing more than just the dead. The photos revealed shadowy figures lurking nearby, smiling with dark delight as if feasting on the living. It was no wonder no one dared to visit after dusk, but the darkest story of all was whispered only in hushed tones, a tale of a child lost in the woods, a boy who became the embodiment of collective fear. They said his laughter could lead anyone astray, enticing them deeper into the depths until they were never seen again. Sometimes, even adults would follow the sound, enchanted and terrified all at once, only to vanish into the thick brush, leaving families grieving over the empty space at the dinner table. As the residents of Waverly closed their curtains tightly, something shifted in the air. A chill spread through the streets like creeping fog, and the stories lived on, waiting to ensnare another unsuspecting soul. Was it just the myths of a small town, or was there something far more sinister lingering in the dark? The clock ticked ominously, counting down until the next midnight horror. The moon hung low, draping Waverly in silver light as the stillness of the night deepened. Just beyond the edge of town, near the old cemetery, a figure moved silently among the tombstones. Clara, an ambitious local journalist, had heard enough chilling stories to fuel her next article. Tonight, she would face her fears and uncover the truth about Lily's haunting. Armed only with her flashlight and a notebook, Clara stepped through the wrought iron gates. Every creak echoed ominously in the night, and her heart raced with anticipation. She felt drawn to the old church at the center, its steeple piercing the sky like a finger pointing toward the heavens. Ghost stories whispered through her mind, and despite her resolve, a shiver danced down her spine. She approached the church's cracked stained glass, splintered colors bathing the ground in neon hues. Clara took a deep breath and pushed the heavy wooden door open. It groaned like a living thing, and inside felt colder, alive in its emptiness. The air smelled musty, as if it had kept secrets hidden for decades. She squinted into the shadows, searching for the inexplicable. Maybe just a quick look, she murmured to herself, trying to quell her escalating anxiety. Suddenly, the laughter she'd heard about rose in the air, echoing against the stone walls, a chilling harmony that sent goosebumps racing over her arms. Where was it coming from? Clara's instinct screamed at her to run, but curiosity overpowered her fear. She moved deeper into the gloom, her flashlight beam trembling. That laughter danced around her, luring her, enticing her with an almost seductive promise of adventure. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Her heart thumped in her chest as she turned. There, near a rotting pew, she saw a fleeting glimpse of a figure. It was a young woman, hair flowing like a river down her back, twisted in sorrow. Clara squeezed her eyes shut, but when she opened them again, the figure was gone. A noise shattered the stillness, like the sound of something heavy hitting the ground. Clara jumped, pulse hammering. The laughter morphed into a cacophony of voices, all overlapping and indistinct, but oh, how they beckoned. It was as if the spirits of the graveyard were inviting her to join them. The realization churned within her: what if Lily was not just a ghost, but a siren, a reminder of all who had vanished? "Please, help me," the whisper echoed, sending chills down Clara's spine. But what could she do? She was just a journalist. Could she unravel a mystery that had left the townsfolk terrified? Trembling, she felt a tug at her jacket, a cold breath against her neck, as if someone or something was right behind her. Clara spun around, her flashlight illuminating nothing but the dusty floor. The laughter faded, replaced by a silence that felt suffocating. Maybe this was a mistake, she thought, panic bubbling inside her. But just as she gathered herself to leave, a blinding light surged through the church, blinding her momentarily. When her vision cleared, she saw it. The figure was back, but she was no longer alone. Clara gasped as she recognized the ghostly face of Lily, her eyes hollow, filled with unimaginable sorrow. In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. Clara felt the weight of countless gazes, watching her, judging her. The whispers grew louder, rising and falling like a storm brewing around her. What did they want from her? What truth was she about to uncover? The air turned electric, sending a shock through her body. As Clara stood frozen in terror, the ghost of Lily reached out, and darkness enveloped her. The clock in the tower chimed ominously, signaling the hour once more. What secrets lay hidden in the shadows of Waverley? Who else had found themselves caught in the grasp of the lost? As the chimes faded, a new question loomed: was Clara destined to join the ranks of the town's horrors, or could she unravel their tale before it was too late? Clara's heart raced, the rhythm pounding in her ears like a war drum. The figure of Lily loomed closer, her translucent hand stretching greedily toward Clara, as if beckoning her into an otherworldly embrace. The cold in the air thickened, curling around Clara like icy fingers, squeezing the breath from her lungs. "Help!" Lily's voice was a mere whisper stitched with anguish. "Find the truth!" The urgency laced through Clara as she instinctively took a step back, her back hitting the rough wood of a pew. Panic filled her chest, but she couldn't turn away from the sorrowful gaze fixed upon her. Clara's flashlight flickered, casting erratic shadows in the church's corners as the presence of the lost ascended into the air, hanging like a dense fog. "Who are you?" Clara found her voice, a shaky thread woven into the chilling atmosphere. Trapped Lily's lips barely moved, but the pain behind the word radiated through the room. "You must uncover the truth of Waverley. They need you." Clara's gaze dropped to the floor, the dust swirling in the dim light. She felt a connection, an urgency bubbling in her chest. Her instincts wrestled with fear: was this a game? Or was there a deeper purpose to Lily's haunting? The combination of the shadows and the cold whisper made her shiver, and for a moment, she forgot the stories she had chased down for her article. Then, the ground trembled. The rotting pew shifted slightly as if something beneath it awakened. Slowly, Clara looked down, her flashlight flickering into the dark space below it. A chill shot through her vein, and unbidden, her hand reached out to touch the wood, but she hesitated, fear flickering through her. Lily remained anchored in her spot, dark eyes searching Clara's face. "You can help us, but time is running short." A loud crash resonated from somewhere behind her as the old bell of the clock tower chimed again, its sound resonating with foreboding finality. Clara jolted, she had lost the earlier courage bolstered by her journalistic ambition. She wanted to flee, to escape the clutches of the church and never look back. But the weight of the spirits hung heavy in the air, weighing down her legs, binding her in place. Every chime another soul Lily's voice grew louder amidst the echoing tolling. Free us find the heart of the town's darkness. Without warning, the church door slammed shut, the noise vibrating through Clara's bones. A sense of doom enveloped her. She was trapped. Her breath quickened, throat tightening as dread coursed through her. With no choice left, she turned back to Lily, determination mixing with fear. "I'll help you," Clara said, surprising herself with the intensity of her conviction. "But how? What do I do?" Lily's hollow gaze brightened for a fleeting moment, trapped between gratitude and sorrow. "The grave, seek it, uncover their bones," and with that, the light surrounding Lily flickered, her form becoming indistinct. Then, a rush of fervor surged through Clara, the urgency compelling her feet forward. She would chase down the whispers of the dead, refusing to let fear imprison her any longer. But with each step, she felt the energy in the air grow heavier, a malignant presence lingering just beyond the edges of her vision. Suddenly, a name sliced through the silence, high and shrill. "Clara!" She spun around, her pulse racing. Was it one of the spirits, or just her mind playing tricks? Just as confusion gripped her, the laughter returned, more haunting and mocking than before. Clara gritted her teeth, heart hammering against her ribcage. "No more games!" she shouted, the sound of her voice cutting through the darkness. Yet, deep down, she was terrified of what awaited her outside the church's grasp. With newfound determination, she reached for the door. But before she could touch the handle, the chilling realization washed over her. What if discovering the truth meant confronting her own nightmares? What secrets would she unveil about Waverley, and could she handle the darkness that would come spilling out? The air thickened again, the shadows creeping toward her. Just beyond that door, a world awaited, silent and foreboding, full of unopened graves and long-buried secrets. "Do you truly wish to know?" A disembodied voice echoed, resonating throughout the hallowed walls, sending a tremor racing down her spine. What unspeakable horrors were waiting for her? Could Clara truly unlock the mysteries of the graveyard, or was she sealing her fate in a battle against the darkness? Clara's heart lurched as the whispered question hung in the air, heavy and oppressive. "Do you truly wish to know?" The voice slithered through the shadows, ensnaring her in a web of fear and resolve. Her instincts screamed for her to turn and flee, to abandon the church and let it drown in its own darkness. But the weight of Lily's plea anchored her feet to the wooden floor, leaving her breathless. The silence felt alive, pulsing with hidden energy. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, the words escaping her lips as a tremor of uncertainty coursed through her. The shadows thickened, and Clara could almost hear them breathing, watching her with expectant hunger. "Find the grave," the voice urged again, thicker this time, laden with centuries of regret. "Find," she muttered, more for herself than anyone else. "I'll search. But what if I can't handle it? What if the truth is too much to bear?" The questions hung painfully, like the crushing weight of burdens not her own. Suddenly, the flicker of her flashlight dimmed, the beam wavering as if uncertain. Clara's throat constricted, the world beyond grew dimmer. Then she heard a rasping breath, a sound so close it sent goosebumps skittering across her skin. It was coming from behind her. She spun around, flashlight raised like a shield. The beam caught the edge of the doorway. Darkness shuddered and shifted, swirling like a live creature, as if it were aware of her presence. Clara took a step back, pulse racing, her instincts screaming at her to escape, to push through the looming shadows that threatened to consume her. "Clara!" the name echoed again, but this time there was no playful laughter, only a chilling sincerity that froze her in place. With a sudden surge of defiance, she stalked toward the closed door. "I won't be afraid," she shouted, the resolution in her voice surprising even herself. She grasped the handle, the cold metal sending a jolt through her body, and wrenched it open. The door creaked loudly, exposing a world wrapped in darkness, a fog that clung to the ground, swirling around her ankles, beckoning her to step into its depths. Outside, the air was thick, heavy with a sense of foreboding. Clara hesitated, recalling Lily's words. "The grave uncover their bones." She took a deep breath, steadying her resolve as she stepped outside. The cold wrapped around her, more intimate than before. The church loomed behind her like a spectre, the bell's chimes echoing ominously in the distance. Each sound sent tremors of dread through her. The graveyard lay at the outskirts of town, hidden among the ancient trees, their gnarled branches clawing at the night sky like desperate hands. How long had the lost souls been waiting for someone? As she made her way toward the graveyard, Clara squinted through the fog. Shapes began to emerge from the haze. Headstones, crooked and weathered, their messages obscured by the passage of time. She felt drawn to them, confidence mixing with terror. Could the answers lie buried beneath these stones? Suddenly, she spotted a flash of white something gleaming just a few feet away. Heart pounding, she edged closer, the fog swirling eerily as it parted for her. The moonlight revealed a partially buried headstone, cracked and broken, the name almost too faint to read. "Nevermore," it whispered, a chilling echo that shot through her bones. "Who are you?" Clara breathed, kneeling before the grave. Her fingers brushed against the cold stone. Goosebumps crawled up her arms as realization pooled in her gut. She was beginning to peel back layers of the town's dark history. But with each revelation came a tightening coil of dread. What if she wasn't ready for the truth? What bones would she uncover? Then, below her touch, a tremor surged from the earth, a heartbeat like a warning. Clara jerked her hand back, eyes wide. Every instinct screamed for her to run, but she felt a presence settle beside her, familiar and comforting, reminding her of Lily's desperate eyes. "Do you really want to know?" The ghostly voice echoed again. The earth rumbled beneath her, revealing the first clue of the chilling mystery, and Clara couldn't tell whether it was a blessing or a curse. Was she ready to confront whatever secrets lurked beneath the ground? Time slipped away, the shadows closing in. She had taken a step, but the journey had only just begun. What lay beneath, waiting to be unearthed in the sinister silence of Waverley. Clara took a deep breath, her heart racing as the ground seemed to shudder beneath her. Instinct begged her to escape, but curiosity held her captive. She glanced back at the church, its silhouette twisted against the moonlit backdrop, a dark reminder of the questions that had brought her here. She needed answers, even if they were buried deep within the earth, waiting for her to discover them. It took a moment for the fog to thicken, wrapping around her relentless, tightening like a vice. As she hesitated, the cold stone of the headstone seemed to pulse beneath her fingers. The sensation sent a shiver racing down her spine, and an echo of whispers floated through the air, pulling her attention back to the tombstone. Nevermore. The word hung in the air, heavy with a haunting resonance, as if the grave itself was summoning her. Who had been buried here, and why did it feel so significant? She took another tentative step forward, the darkness swirling with her every movement. Kneeling once more, she used her fingers to gently scrape away the damp earth that concealed the headstone further. The white stone felt oddly warm now, defying the chill around her. With each scraping motion, the name became clearer, though still obscured. "Help me," a whispered plea, soft but clear, broke through the stillness. Clara's breath hitched as her mind raced over the implications. Was this voice familiar? Was it another lost soul, echoing the shadows of past tragedies? She pressed her hands to the cold surface, determined to reach the name that danced just out of sight. Sudden laughter echoed in the distance, cruel and mocking. Clara's heart sank. She was reminded of the old wives' tales about the forgotten souls that roamed these plots, waiting for anyone to uncover their buried secrets. But part of her resisted the call. Could there truly be a way to help these spirits? An unsettling thought gripped her. What if finding them meant losing herself? The ground trembled again, more violently this time, as if the earth itself was warning her to step back. The whispers crescendoed, intertwining with the laughter, creating a cacophony of anguish that clashed with the stillness of the night. Clara pressed her palms against her ears, trying to drown it out, but she felt herself compelled to listen. If she turned back now, would she forever wonder what lay beneath? with a surge of adrenaline, Clara closed her eyes tight, focusing on the name. "I have to know," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Who are you?" The air felt electric. As if in response to her plea, the earth shifted again, the headstone vibrating beneath her touch. She could almost feel the stories it held lacing through her fingertips, begging to be told. Then, with a final, violent shudder, the ground erupted as if granting her a twisted glimpse into the past. Dark, shadowy contours emerged from the earth. Clara gasped as she beheld not just bones, but silhouettes of figures. Faces flickered in and out of existence through the fog, begging for release, circling around her like a ghastly dance. Her heart pounded, hope and fear battling within her. "What do you want from me?" she cried out, the weight of her own question pressing heavily against her chest. "Find us," the shadows replied in unison, their voices a chilling whisper that echoed through Clara's bones. "Find us before it's too late." The ground heaved ominously, and she stumbled back, breathless. She could feel it, the urgency, the desperation. They were trapped in this purgatory, yearning for her to uncover not just their bones, but their truth. Unsure if she could uncover it all, dread seized her, the stakes were higher than she imagined, the shadows began to advance, and panic surged through Clara. Forced to make a choice, she took a step back, her instincts screaming at her to flee. But in that moment, a new thought ignited in her mind. Could their fate be intertwined with mine? She whispered, the realization gripping her. The fog waned just a bit, revealing a path deeper into the graveyard, a place where the history of Waverley would lay bare its darkest secrets. Clara hesitated, a sense of resolve battling with the panic. Time felt suspended, almost stifling. Would she continue down this path, risking everything for answers? Or would she abandon her quest and seal her fate to silence? With the shadows closing in, Clara knew the moment had come. Her heart thudded fiercely in her chest, echoing loudly through the silence. And then, along that crooked path to the deeper grave, one thing became painfully clear: there was no turning back. What awaited her in the shadows could change everything she thought she knew about herself, and the histories she had unearthed. How deep did the lies go? Was she ready for whatever secrets lay ahead? Clara's breath quickened as she turned toward the path, shadows swirling around her like a shroud. Each step felt heavy, as if the very ground beneath her weighed down with grief and secrets. The air grew thick with an unsettling chill, winding its way into her bones. The silhouettes loomed closer, their features still indistinct yet clearly pleading, desperate for someone to bear witness to their stories. "Find us," their whispers echoed softly, a haunting melody wrapped in sorrow. Clara fought against panic rising in her chest. With every ounce of courage, she pressed forward, drawn deeper into the darkness. Was this her destiny, or a trap waiting to snap shut? She stumbled into a clearing illuminated only by the silvery glow of the moon. Here, the ground bore a ragged outline of a circle, each carved stone standing like a sentinel of lost time. Clara knelt at the edge, her fingers trembling against the rough edges, tracing the intricate designs. Names were etched deep, some familiar, others forgotten. She felt an overwhelming surge of grief wash over her, as though each name held a whisper of a life missed, a song unsung that a sudden gust rattled through the clearing, and the shadows began to coalesce. Clara felt a pull, as though something beyond her could see into her soul, evaluating her worthiness. "What must I do?" she asked, her voice shaking against the whistle of the wind. "Reveal the truth," they implored, their tone rising, a cacophony of anguish that surged through her. "Find the heart of Waverley's secrets, before the dawn." Her eyes darted across the stones, and then she saw it, a single headstone standing defiantly apart from the others. The inscription gleamed under the moonlight, its letters filigreed and ornate. Clara approached, heart pounding, and as she wiped away the grime that obscured it, a name emerged, one that sent shockwaves through her. Amelia Waverley. The name struck her like a bolt of lightning, igniting memories of stories whispered in hushed tones around campfires. A girl who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind the husk of a life that still haunted the town. Rumors of betrayal, jealousy, and countless tragedies had swirled around her disappearance, the lingering questions never met with satisfying answers. Clara gasped, the pieces falling into place. You were the one they sought. You were never lost, you were hidden. The shadows spun faster, a tempest of felt anguish, rising like a storm. Unlock her story. Only then can we be free. They cried out, each wave of sound crashing against her like a tide. Fear coursed through her veins, but deep inside, a flicker of determination ignited. I'll find the truth, Clara vowed, a sense of resolve blossoming amidst the chaos. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. The shadows surged toward her, faces contorting in desperation. Memories flashed before her eyes, lost friendships, buried secrets, bloodlines intertwined with betrayal. A single thought clawed at her mind: to discover the fate of Amelia Waverley was to unearth her own. Clara was torn. Time was slipping away. What vital truth must she unearth? The whispers grew in intensity, almost drowning her in one final, resounding plea. Before the dawn, before the dawn. Then, just as suddenly as it began, silence fell. The shadows stilled, their presence a mere echo of what had been. She stood alone at the precipice of revelation, the weight of history resting heavily on her shoulders. Clara took a deep breath, its chill sharp against her lungs. She had set out to find answers, but a gnawing feeling buried in her gut warned her, whatever lay ahead would come at a cost. How could she face the truth of a girl who had been buried by time? She felt the weight of 1,000 gazes pressing upon her, urging her to choose. The realization dawned, heavy and terrifying: would discovering the truth grant her freedom, or bind her deeper to the grave's ominous chains? Clara turned her gaze back to the circle of stones. The answers awaited her, buried just beneath the surface, but the price of knowledge was still steep, and as the first light of dawn threatened to break, Clara understood one thing: she was running out of time. Clara's heart pounded like a drum in her chest as the chilling silence unfolded around her. She felt the weight of the moon's spotlight on her skin, the shadows whispering secrets she knew must be uncovered. But how? What could possibly unlock the turmoil that enveloped Amelia Waverley's story? With shaky hands, she brushed her fingers over the name etched into the stone. Amelia. The whisper rolled from her lips, barely more than a breath. The very air crackled as if the spirit of the girl was listening. It was then she noticed the ground beneath the stone, where others stood proud. This one was unsettled, like buried memories fighting for release. Clara knelt, heart racing, and pressed her palm against the earth. The cool soil made her shiver, but she pushed deeper, feeling for any irregularities. The way the stones stood felt orchestrated, and her gut twisted with the instinct that something lay buried here, waiting only for her to find it. Suddenly, a sharp gust whipped through the clearing, swirling dust and leaves like a small tornado around her. The whispers returned, louder this time, unsettling enough to make her skin crawl. Dig, dig. Instinctively, Clara grasped a nearby rock, using it to sift through the damp earth. Adrenaline coursed through her veins with each movement. The whispers urged her on, growing urgent, and she felt, more than heard, their desperation. As her fingers pulled back clumps of dirt, the anxiety clawing at her insides gave way to hope. Something hard nudged against her hand. She clawed away more dirt, lifting the object free. In the dim light, Clara's breath caught in her throat. It was a small, ancient box, its surface ornately carved with the same designs adorning the stones. As the box emerged into the moonlight, she could see tiny Olas-like patterns dancing along its edge, the light glinting like it had a heartbeat of its own. "What is this?" she murmured, turning it over. The box felt heavy, like it belonged to another world. Anxiety and excitement warred inside her, compelling her to open it. Yet a voice snapped through her thoughts, a sharp, searing reminder that she was running out of time. The dawn was dangerously close. Clara closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. "Amelia, I need your help," she whispered. The shadows seemed to quiver. Did they sense her plea? Did they understand her desire to unravel the truth? As she looked back at the box, something shifted inside her, a pull, almost, beckoned her to take the plunge. With trembling hands, she lifted the lid. An overwhelming rush of cold air engulfed her, echoing voices crashing through her mind, all the lost stories, fragmented pieces of life that had been hidden in darkness. A cascade of images spiraled before her, a girl running, tears streaming, desperation etched in her features. Clara gasped. No. Amelia. It was all too real, too vivid. The vision flickered like a broken film reel, then coalesced into an image of a group gathering held in secret, whispers of danger hanging in the air like a storm cloud. She saw betrayal, faces she recognized from the stories haunting the town. Clara. The voice shattered her concentration. A figure emerged from the shadows at the edge of the clearing. Clara turned, squinting into the darkness, breath catching once again. Familiar yet terrifying, someone stepped into the moonlit circle. It was Mark, the boy she'd known from town, a connection to her life, but also a reminder of the danger lurking within. What are you doing here? Clara shouted, heart in her throat, realizing the truth she was on the verge of discovering might leap far beyond Amelia's story to include her own. Clara, you have to leave now. You don't understand what you're messing with. His urgency mixed with fear hit her like a slap. She could see the dread etched on his face, but she couldn't pull away, not now. The box glimmered enticingly, the shadows danced with anticipation behind her, and Clara knew that to turn away would mean giving up on Amelia and perhaps losing herself in the process. What would she choose? And what lay hidden? Inside the box that had the power to alter everything, with a resolute breath, Clara gripped the box tighter, ready to confront whatever terrible truth lay ahead. Time was still slipping away, but the haunting shadows urged her to dig deeper than she ever had before. Clara. Mark's voice sliced through her determination. You can't face this alone. But Clara was already slipping into the abyss. The box was a key, and she was about to unlock something far beyond her imagination. As the first hint of dawn painted the sky, she understood one truth clearly: to discover Amelia's fate could either set her spirit free or doom them both to the shadows forever. But Clara was ready to make her choice. Would Mark follow her into the depths, or would she descend into the darkness alone? The cold air thickened around Clara as she forced herself to focus, the box still throbbing with that eerie energy in her hands. The whispers became more pronounced, morphing into a haunting melody that danced at the edges of her consciousness. She felt as if the earth itself was alive, trembling with the vibrations of secrets that yearned to be unearthed. Clara. Please. Mark's voice ripped through her daze. The fear in his eyes pulled her back, but the compulsion to uncover the truth overpowered her hesitation. Every instinct screamed at her to close the box and run, yet she couldn't shake the weight of Amelia's ghostly plea. If you don't tell me what's going on, I can't help, Clara shot back, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Mark stepped closer, urgency leaking from every pore. You're toying with something darker than you know, Clara. Those visions, they aren't just memories. They're warnings. The tendrils of fear snaked deeper into Clara's gut. What do you mean? Before he could answer, the whispers crescendoed, flooding her mind with the pulse of Amelia's unresolved pain. Clara's grip tightened on the box as ice-hot clarity slammed into her. I have to know. Mark's face paled. All right, but if you're going this far, you need to keep your guard up. This isn't just about Amelia. What does that mean? Anxiety flared, making her pulse quicken as she locked eyes with him. A tense silence stretched between them, thickening the air. Finally, Mark took a deep breath, glancing at the dark trees encircling the clearing. Amelia was involved in something, a group that sought power through dark means. A ritual gone wrong. It was supposed to protect, but it ended in tragedy. No. Clara felt the ground shift beneath her, realigning her thoughts. You think she wasn't just running from her past? She was running from this? Mark nodded, fear now spilling into resolve. There are more secrets buried here, Clara, connections to people in town you wouldn't believe. It goes deeper than any of us can comprehend. You're in danger. Clara's heart raced as she recalled the faces from her vision, the lifeline of relationships twisted and betrayed. Then we'll find a way to unearth the truth. For Amelia, she whispered, tethering herself to the surge of determination. With a swift motion, Clara opened the box wider. A gust of wind erupted, sending a shudder through the trees, and the ethereal voices surged to an insane pitch. She could feel the coldness seeping deeper, intertwining with her thoughts. No. Mark lunged forward, but it was too late. The shadows pulled tighter around Clara, wrapping her in darkness as a torrent of images enveloped her senses. It was as if a portal had opened, revealing a chaotic assembly of flickering memories, voices filled with laughter, then sorrow, betrayals broadcast on looping reels, chaotic celebrations morphing into screams. Make it stop. She clawed at the visions, desperate to break free from the relentless flood of horror. Suddenly, a vision solidified in front of her, a girl standing at the center, arms outstretched, surrounded by figures whispering, chanting. Amelia's face twisted in anguish, pleading silently to be saved from the darkness seeping into her soul. Clara, no. Mark grasped her arm, pulling her back from the abyss. The vision dimmed, but Clara felt it burning into her memory. She blinked, gasping for breath, her chest tightening as reality phased back in, stark and unforgiving. The box had closed, but the echo of Amelia's anguish still rang clear. Clara's resolve surged anew. We have to uncover what they did to her. Maybe it can still be undone. Mark looked torn, a mix of fear and hopelessness in his eyes. Clara, there are consequences. I don't care. She interrupted, fire in her voice. I want to let Amelia's story end in tragedy. Not after everything she went through. A chill swept through the clearing as dawn fully broke, casting an ominous glow over their tangled emotions. Clara felt a flicker of hope amidst her dread, a tenuous thread binding her to Amelia's fate. Then we do this together. Mark finally said. But at that instant, a louder crash echoed through the trees, resonating like an ominous bell tolling a warning. A shadow darted past, flitting just out of sight, before silence pooled thick in the air. What was that? Clara whispered, frozen. Mark's face blanched, turning toward the source of the sound. Something else watching us. The box lay heavy in her hands as cold fingers of foreboding ghosted down her spine. Was it the remnants of a past seeking resolution? Or an entity more sinister that would stop at nothing to keep the past buried? Clara couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay ahead would test not only their resolve but their humanity. One choice remained, plunge into the unknown, or retreat from the darkness threatening to consume them both. The fleeting hope of Amelia's story hanging in the balance was a fragile thread, and Clara was willing to risk everything to pull it free, but at what price? The air shifted again, thickening with an energy so palpable that Clara could almost taste it. Mark stepped back, his gaze scanning the tree, lean, heart racing in time with Clara's. She clutched the box tighter, feeling the cool metal pressing against her palm, a physical reminder of the choices that lay ahead. What if it's not just watching us? Mark whispered, voice laced with an edge of terror. What if it's waiting? Clara's stomach churned. We need to find out what happened to Amelia. This might be our only chance. The shadow that had darted past reappeared, this time more defined. It was a figure, humanoid but with an unnatural stillness, blending into the shadows cast by the towering trees. Clara's breath caught. The whispers surged back, loud and frantic, a cacophony desperate to be heard. Clara marked the sound, twisted around, pulling at Clara's senses. Help us, who's there? Mark shouted, voice sharp against the rising panic. The figure stepped forward, a face emerging from the darkness. Eyes gleamed like polished stones, devoid of humanity, yet flickering with an emotion that felt all too familiar: grief. Amelia? Clara's heart pounded in her chest. The name escaped her lips like a prayer. The figure shook its head slowly, then spoke, the voice echoing with chilling sorrow. I am not her. But I was part of what she sought to escape. What do you want? Mark demanded, voice steady despite the visible tremor in his hands. Set us free, the words reverberated, a haunting melody of desperation. The pact has chained us, you must understand. Clara felt the ground move beneath her, the air tightening like a vice as adrenaline flooded her veins. What pact? What do you mean? The figure beckoned them closer, and Clara hesitated, horrified yet entranced. You are entwined now. To break the cycle, you must confront the darkness that binds us. Mark shook his head, stepping protectively in front of Clara. We don't even know who you are. Once, I was a name in the whispers. An echo among the shadows, just like Amelia, the figure said softly. I was a participant in the ritual that cursed her. We all are. A wave of cold dread washed over Clara. She thought of the joys turned to screams in her vision, the laughter lost to the void of despair. You mean you're trapped too? Yes. Lost forever unless you release us. The figure's voice broke, a visible pain twitching across its face. You hold the key, Clara. You must unlock the truth. Clara's heart raced. The weight of the box became unbearable, as if it pulsed with the weight of countless secrets. The chaos of images from her vision flooded again, friends betrayed, laughter twisted into screams, a cancelled life force pleading silently through the cracks. I can't, Clara stammered. What if unlocking it only brings forth more darkness? Then face it, or be consumed, the apparition replied, its voice a whisper of wind, barely heard but felt deep within her spirit. Your fight is entwined with ours. Amelia refused to yield, and it cost her everything. Don't let her sacrifice be in vain. Mark's eyes darted between the figure and Clara, fear and determination warring in him. Clara, don't. We need to think this through. But the shadows around them thickened, the chilling air morphing into a grasping, clawing presence. Clara stood firm, courage igniting in her chest. I can't ignore this call. If Amelia needs help, I'll do everything to save her, even if it means confronting whatever darkness is coming. The figure leaned forward, almost pleading. Then the time has come. Step closer to the box. The truth is buried within you. To find it, you must dig deep. With a trembling hand, Clara took a step forward, heart thundering. Mark reached for her arm, but she shook him off, locking eyes with the shadow now hovering beside her. Clara, wait, but the words drifted off as the air shimmered. A blinding flash erupted from the box, illuminating the clearing like the sun bursting through storm clouds. Screams echoed as the shadows twisted about them, rising in a whirlwind of chaos. Then, silence, the shadows seemed to pull back, revealing a path cloaked in mist, stretching far beyond the clearing. Clara's mind reeled, questions swirling like the fog around her. What truth awaited them? What darkness lay at the end of this shadowy road? She took a breath, her resolve hardening. With Mark reluctantly at her side, they stepped forward, uncertainty shadowing their steps, but the frosty air crackled with a promise of revelation and unspeakable terror, the echoes of past lives thickening around them like a noose tightening, waiting to see if they would falter or fight. As they moved forward into the mist, a final whisper echoed from deep within, "Do you dare?" Clara moved through the fog, each step heavier than the last. Mark flanked her, unease pooling in his eyes. The memory of the figure haunted them. Amelia's unfinished story beckoned, begging for completion. Clara felt the weight of unseen eyes on her, a thousand gazes wrapped in sorrow and resentment. Are you sure about this? Mark's voice trembled with a mix of fear and determination. I have to be. The conviction in her voice surprised even her. She deserves peace, and so do the others. As they ventured deeper, the whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a storm. They were no longer just echoes of the past but palpable fears and hopes, urging Clara on. Unlock the truth, you must remember. Clara's pulse quickened as they reached a clearing defined by towering stones. Each stone stood like a sentinel, engraved with names, the edges weathered by time. An ancient altar lay at the heart, a place where the living once intertwined with the dead. This must be it, Clara whispered, kneeling before the altar. It felt charged, alive. She pressed a hand against its cold surface, and as her fingers traced the carvings, memories flooded her mind. Faces flashed, their lives intertwined with anguish and betrayal, a ritual gone wrong, connections severed by fear and darkness. Clara. Mark's voice cut through her fog, panic lining every word. We shouldn't be here. I have to know. Clara responded, the urgency pushing her forward. If Amelia is bound by this place, I need to find a way to free her. At that moment, the air thickened, the temperature plummeting. Shadows swirled around them, no longer just whispers but lurking figures taking shape. Fear crept up Clara's spine, but she grounded herself, reminding herself of the lost souls, their pleas echoing in her mind. Help us, the voices entwined together, a hypnotic chant, eyes darting between the shadows. Clara knelt at the base of the altar, frantically digging through her memories, piecing together the fragments of the past. Then it hit her, the ritual. Even in its chaos, there was a chance for redemption. Focusing her thoughts, Clara called out into the void, Amelia. We're here for you. The shadows stilled, silence wrapping around them as if the world held its breath. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the clearing, and the figure of Amelia emerged from the mist, a blend of sorrow and hope. Her translucent eyes glistened with unfulfilled promises. You've come for me. Yes, Clara breathed, resolve hardening. I want to let your story end in pain. We'll set you all free. Amelia nodded slowly, her expression a mix of gratitude and despair. To break the curse, you must complete the ritual, the truth must be revealed. Sacrifice must guide you. What kind of sacrifice? Mark blurted, stepping forward, protective instinct igniting. We want to let harm come to you. Amelia's gaze penetrated Clara's. Not for me. For the souls bound by the darkness. Only the truth can sever the ties made in fear. Clara's heart raced, thoughts racing. The truth, intertwined with their stories, demanded unveiling. I'm ready to face whatever darkness lies here. I want to abandon you. The wind howled, shadows trembling with urgency. Face the memories, the joy and the despair, allow the truth to flow through you. Only then can you deliver us from this torment. With newfound vigor, Clara took a deep breath, steeling herself against the weight of sorrow engulfing her. She reached for the box at her side, feeling it pulse. Open it, Mark urged, an unyielding flicker of admiration igniting in his gaze. You can do this. Clara nodded, fingers trembling around the latch. She flicked it open, and a brilliant light burst forth, casting away the darkness, illuminating forgotten memories, struggles, laughter intertwined with betrayal, a cacophony of stories longing to be heard. As the images around her swirled, those trapped and lost, Clara felt their pain, their identities melding with hers. The warmth washed over her, and amid the flashes, she glimpsed Amelia once more, lighting her path. Remember. The spirits shouted, voices rising. Into a haunting chorus, Clara squeezed her eyes shut, summoning every ounce of strength. I release you. She cried. I free you from this cycle. The energy crackled in the air, the ground vibrating beneath them. The shadows surged, sweeping toward Claire as chaos erupted, a clash between light and dark, ancient and new, souls intertwined in turmoil. Witness the truth. The voices cried, and memories splintered, merging into one pivotal moment, a gathering in the woods, betrayal from someone once trusted, a ritual meant to bind but instead unleashed chaos and despair. A sudden silence filled the air as the ground shook violently. Clara gasped as the sweeping shadows fluttered around her, revealing a shimmering portal, a glimmer of the lives they once lived. Clara recognized Amelia, her spirit bathed in light. Now, go. Amelia urged, her face breaking into a radiant smile. Return what was taken. With one final surge of energy, a haunting light erupted from Clara. The shadows surrounding the altar dissipated, swirling upward like leaves on a breeze, lifting with them the lingering pain of regret and unspoken farewells. the air buzzed with renewed energy, and Clara opened her eyes to a dawn unfurling into the sky, bright and vivid. The old altar felt warm beneath her fingers. Amidst the dissipating fog, Clara felt peace for the first time, a weight lifting from her soul. "Did we do it?" Mark asked, incredulous. Clara turned, relief washing over her. The figures of lost souls now glimmered softly around them, their eyes lightened with gratitude. "We did. We freed them." The shadows were no longer threatening, they were a lingering part of the town's story, their truths woven into Waverley's fabric. And at the heart stood Clara, a witness to the transformations of past lives, the darkness exhaled and the bright promise of new beginnings curling softly around their souls. With the first rays of sunlight illuminating their path, Clara and Mark ventured back toward town, ready to tell the stories hidden in Waverley's depths, stepping into a new chapter of their lives. That I and the quiet of dawn, lingering whispers faded into the breeze. The clock tower rang, claiming the silence, and each chime felt like a promise renewed, and for those who would listen, Clara vowed to carry their stories, intertwining them with her own, a mutual bond forged through truth, light, and hope. What awaited the townsfolk beyond their shadows was a reminder that even in darkness, there remained flickers of courage. A new dawn had arrived in Waverley, and the tale of Clara's journey lived on a torch passed to the next generation, illuminating the spaces where life and memory intertwined. As she touched the glimmering portal one last time, the future felt beautifully bright. Each story, a thread woven into the tapestry of life. And now, dear friends, let it resonate. Your journey is just beginning. Subscribe immediately to not miss our next exclusive tales. You need to subscribe now. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help this community grow. We want your reactions and theories in the comments section. Flood it with your thoughts. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this thrilling conclusion. Your support means everything, so stand with us as we journey through the shadows together.